وضعوا على فمه السلاسل ربطوا يديه بصخرة الموتى وقالوا أنت قاتل.
Herzlich willkommen zum vorletzten Habibi Goethe dieses Jahr. Welcome to the penultimate Habibi Goethe this year. And so today, imagine you live in a society that is under a lot of pressure from political rivalries, from poverty, from censorship, and from war. And imagine you're still, despite all of this, a person who wants to create, who wants to write, who wants to play theater. And in the society you live in, there are very few spaces where that kind of free expression is possible. And then imagine that one of these last or one of these few spaces where you can do that gets destroyed. Maybe you could already tell from the music that we just played, but today I'm talking about Palestine, I'm talking about Gaza. And the place we're talking about is the Said Al Mishal Theater that was destroyed in 2018. But so from this tragedy, something really outstanding was developed, a theater project with the name Broken Theater, Broken Dreams, realized by a Palestinian feminist theater group and 2 German theater makers. And before I introduce my guest, let's see a short video of that theater play.
بطريقة لا يستطيع البشر
All right, so that was a short excerpt to give you an impression of the play. And we're very lucky because today we have many of the people that were involved in writing it and creating it here with us today. Some in Germany, some in Gaza, and I'll introduce them to you. So there we have Maxi Obexer, who's an author and a playwright, and she's one of the people who traveled to Gaza from Germany and supported the Women's Collective in writing the play. Then we have Manal Barakat, who's a playwright, an actor, and a director of the Bozour Theater for Cultural Arts, and she directed A Broken Theater, A Broken Dream. And maybe you could already see in the excerpt that we showed to you that all the roles were played by women. So that's something very interesting we're going to talk about later as well. Then we have with us today also Najwa Ghanem. She's a playwright, an author, and a translator who actually translated the play into English. And here in Munich, we have one guest in Munich today as well, is Nadim Jarrar, a German-Palestinian actor who has worked in Germany and in Palestine. Amongst other things, he was also involved with the Jenin Freedom Theater. And finally, we have Mona Kriegler, who's the head of the Goethe Institute in the Palestinian territories and the head of the German-French Cultural Center in Ramallah. So everybody, thanks so much for being here with us today. I really look forward to what you have to share about your play. And we'll actually start with Mona, the head of the Goethe Institute there. And yeah, just a question in the beginning. So how did this project come about? What is the story behind it?
Yes, thank you, Nabila, for the nice introduction. And I'm very happy to be here with my colleagues and friends in Gaza and in other parts of Germany. So how this project came about, that's actually quite interesting, and I think it sheds light also a little bit of how we work. I remember I started my job in Palestine in 2017, and I went to Gaza, of course, very frequently, whenever it's possible. It's cultural work that you have to handle with a lot of interruptions. It's very volatile, and you have to be very flexible and always find, certain ways to make projects happen and continue to work despite all the challenges. And I remember that I visited the Al Mishal Theater and met a group of theater makers in the theater who told me about their work, what does theatrical work and cultural work in a context such as Gaza means. And they introduced me to their theater. And I remember it was a very big stage, one of the last cultural centers that actually was technically very well equipped. It could host a lot of people. And it also was a place where a lot of artists in Gaza stored their artwork because they considered that place a safe place. And a few months later, in August 2018, I heard about the tragic loss of the theater due to a bombardment, which basically turned the theater into a complete pile of rubble. And then two things happened. First, I was deeply moved and impressed by the cultural community in the Gaza Strip, who came from all walks of life, from all different areas in Gaza City. I'm sure Najwa and Manal remember very well. And they stood on the rubble of the theater and they performed. And they were singing, they were reciting, they were actually expressing their mourning, but through this creativity and making a point. And I was deeply moved and impressed by this. And very soon later, I managed to get back to Gaza, and it was, and here comes a personal note, it was the very first time in my life where all of a sudden I couldn't go back to a place where I was meeting a group of people. And I saw this rubble. And then, of course, our work, or my work, is, we are cultural instigators, you can say. We are facilitators, we are initiators, but I'm no theater expert. And so I knew Maxi from Beirut a few years back, and I met Maxi in Berlin, and I said, Maxi, this is what happened, and we have to respond. We have to do something, because there is a whole society that lost their beloved theater, and all these people, no matter if they were on the side of being on stage or in the audience or the people who sold tickets, they were all relating to memories. And this is how basically I invited Maxi to help me respond and do something about it. And then Maxi suggested to invite Clemens, and I think these two theater experts, authors, and directors were absolutely crucial with a lot of patience and dedications to get this project off the ground. And it started with a visit. We were very lucky to be able to spend a whole week in the Gaza Strip and hold a workshop with a lot of different theater makers from Gaza. And that was kind of the initial start of something yet to come. We didn't know at the time what was coming. So you could say it was a result open and a rather process-oriented project. And I suppose I leave this to my colleagues to tell you a little bit more about it.
Yeah, maybe one more question to you. You already touched on it a little bit, but I would be very interested to know, how does doing cultural work in Gaza happen? How does that work out with the travel restrictions, the political situation, internally and externally? How often do you manage to work with people in Gaza? Yeah, how does that look like?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I start with a little story. One of the first visits I did, and I'm sure Najwa and Manal know Arab Sununu. Arab welcomed me in her music school in Gaza City. And she told me at the time, Gaza needs music. And I translated this also into, culture and art more or as much as food and medicine, as a form of, survival and giving perspective and moving on. And from this moment on, I realized, and I was deeply impressed by these small micro infrastructures, if you say, that are built up on a voluntary basis within the cultural community, where elder generations teach younger generations. And Arab Sununu built up the Sununu music school with a bunch of volunteers. And now 800 children sing in a choir. And people said, I can play an instrument and I can teach. And this is, I think, perhaps a metaphor for this spirit and the energy that the cultural community in Gaza has. And I remain, completely in full respect to that. And so the work in Gaza, even though, yes, there are many moments where a coordinated trip, which is in itself already quite challenging, gets canceled because another, conflict cycle of violence evaporates. We had several wars in the last years, of course, most recently the war in May, which many understood much more powerful and in terms of its impact than the one in 2014. And of course, that doesn't leave people unmarked. And so what we do, no matter if we are on site in Gaza or in Ramallah, we keep in touch and we stay in touch. And we constantly ask the question, what does cultural work actually mean in a context that is Gaza? How can we help and what do you need? And one thing that is very important, what we noticed is, and this is why the Al Mishal Theater, the loss of this theater is so tragic, is that we are lacking in Gaza many cultural safe spaces, especially for women also. And our work was also then something that came out of actually the situation around Al Mishal was that cultural work in Gaza also means supporting rebuilding cultural infrastructures. And this notion of rebuilding may not be taken literally, because we find a lot of different ways and meanings in this word or in this notion of rebuilding. And what we are doing is to support and to listen And this is also very much defined by what I always call, to borrow an expression by Charles Taylor, a politics of recognition. So to really actively listen and to be guided by the cultural community in Gaza, in this case by Al Bozour, in what way they would like to express a project and what this production means to them. And yeah,
thank you so much.
I leave it at that.
Maybe we'll now move on to talk to Najwa and Manal, who actually created such a cultural safe space in Gaza. Manal and Najwa, could you just tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got to work in the field of theater? Like what attracted you to it and what led you to work in theater and in culture?
Okay. Manal, would you like to start?
Okay, English or Arabic? It's okay
English,
to speak
of course.
Arabic? English?
As you like. We can translate if you prefer in Arabic or in English. Your English is very good, so as you wish.
I try, but I prefer to speak Arabic. At the first, my name is Manal Barakat. I'm now living in Gaza. I'm working a theater as a director and a writer and the actors. Now I lead a first feminist association. It's called Bozour for Culture and Art. I have a lot of experience in with work in my main study and my main work as a theater and art. Can I complete in Arabic?
Of course, definitely.
اوكي. فبشتغل في مجال المسرح والدراما خبرة 16 سنة. مجال المسرح هو مجال يعني كتير منيح لسيدة لإلي بتعيش في غزة وبالذات في فلسطين، اللي بيعطي مساحة لإلي كسيدة إني أعبر عن نفسي بشكل واضح، إني أطور من قدراتي. فالآن أنا ومجموعة من السيدات بندير هذا المسرح النسوي الصبايا إنهم يعبروا عن أنفسهم وإنهم يشاركوا في الأعمال المسرحية سواء كان دراما، workshop أو animation أو
Najwa?
Yes, Najwa.
Could you translate?
Of course, Manal is saying that she's one of the ladies that established Bozour Theater for Culture and Arts. And it's the first feminine theater association in Gaza. She has pretty good experience in working in theater, nearly 16 years working in theaters, whether acting, producing, or writing theater. Actually, she says that working in theater is a very good experience for her and a very good place to express herself as a lady living in Gaza in Palestine.
And maybe.
And she encourages as well ladies to express themselves on stage through training them and teaching them art and drama.
Najwa, maybe you want to continue and tell us about yourself, how you got to work in theater?
Okay, first, I have a BA in English literature, and I am one of the members of the General Union of the Palestinian Writers. I have 2 short story collections, and I write short stories and plays. 20 years ago, I worked in theater with the children, of course, and I found out how was drama very important and had a great impact on changing the mentality of the children according to the inequality between the 2 genders. And I was so eager to work in theater again. Actually, I had no chance to work until I met the ladies of Bozour and started to work with them. after getting the workshop with Maxi and Clemens in drama. And it was a great experience for me to get benefit from Maxi and Clemens and to work with the ladies of Bozour. And I got also very good experience from them. And I learned a lot to make drama from the ladies of Bozour. And that's it.
What did it mean to the two of you to write about and create a play about the destruction of the Said Al Mishal Theater, which is a place you told me you also loved and you were mourning that loss? So what did it mean to then be able to make art out of that experience?
Okay, Manal, would you like to answer?
بالنسبة لمسرح المسحال يعني هو مكان معروف في غزة اللي بيجمع فيه كل الكتاب والأدباء والشعراء اللي كان يعتبر يعني مسرح الفقراء اللي كل الناس بتقدر إنها تزوره وتدخله لأنه ما بيتطلب تذاكر، وكان موجود يعني في منطقة مليئة بالذكريات، يعني في أحد مخيمات اللاجئين اللي هو مخيم الشاطئ اللي هو بشكل نسبة كبيرة من هدول اللاجئين. فكان هذا المسرح يعني تأسس في السلطة يعني في 95، يعني كان بيمثل ثقافتنا وبيمثل المكان الوحيد المفضل اللي كل الناس بتقدر إنها تروح له. بيحمل كتير من القصص ومن الذكريات، وبيحمل كتير من الأشخاص اللي كان لهم تجارب كتير في هذا المكان. فكان مسرح المسحال يعني كان لما تدمر في 2018 كان تدميره كتير مؤثر لإلي بالذات، باعتباري أنا ما دخلت مسرح يعني من صغري من طفولتي، لكن كنت بسمع عن مكان في غزة اسمه مسرح المسحال. كان هذا المسرح يعتبر بالنسبة لنا كبذور هو بداية النهاية. كان آخر عرض لنا كان بعنوان مسرحية هاشتاج اللي عملنا فيه بريزنتيشن اللي كنا متأملين من خلاله نبين هدول السيدات الثلاثة اللي بيديروا أول مسرح نسوي، لكن الحمد لله إنه قدرنا نعمل فيه العرض الأخير. وبعد هذا العرض للأسف تم تدميره من قبل الاحتلال بكتير عدد من الصواريخ اللي إحنا يعني كان تدميره بيترك تساؤل لأي حدا مهتم بالفن إنه ليش هذا المسرح بالذات. فكلنا بنعرف إنه الفن هو أداة إنه إحنا نعبر فيها عن أنفسنا ونعبر فيها عن تراثنا، عن هويتنا، عن قصصنا، عن أحلامنا. فتدميره كان بالنسبة لنا ولكل الفلسطينيين هو صدمة وهو محاربة للثقافة وللفنانين بالذات، لأنهم هم اللي بيعكسوا الحقيقة وبينقلوا واقع هذا المجتمع وواقع هذا الشعب.
أوكي.
حتى كان الإشي المؤثر لنا إنه حتى بعد ما رحنا نزور هذا المكان كلنا كان يستغرب إنه هاي البناية اللي من طوابق كتير هيك راحت أصبحت حفرة وأرض فاضية ما فيها أشخاص، ما فيها حياة، ما فيها قصص، ما فيها غنى. لكن رغم هيك كان في كتير من الفنانين اللي هم وقفوا يعني أصروا إنه يكملوا أعمالهم على هذا الردم والدمار اللي كان موجود. كتير كنا حريصين إنه نحكي إنه إحنا لسه ما زلنا موجودين. فكانت كتير من الأعمال اللي تم إحيائها على هذا المسرح، لأنه لكل واحد منا له قصة، له ذكرى، له رواية، له حدوتة، له تاريخ انبنى في هذا المكان.
Thank you, Najwa. Thank you, Manal, and thank you, Najwa, for translating.
Okay, shall I translate
Yes,
what she has
please.
said?
Yes.
Okay, Manal says that Said Al Mishal Center of Theater in particular is the biggest and oldest theater in Gaza Strip. And it is, let's say, it's the theater of the poor people, that you can enter the theater and attend any play you want without paying any fees. For free it was. That's why it was very popular and very famous in Gaza Strip with its difficult, let's say, economic situation. She says when it was, of course, it was established at the time of the Palestinian Authority in Gaza Strip, and when it was destroyed in 2018, it was a catastrophe for all the people who used to go there and to work there, whether they are actors, authors, directors, and even the audience themselves. She says that they were very upset hearing the news and listening to the destruction and the sound of explosion of the place. She says that when they made a visit to the theater, and when they saw it a total rubble, they were very upset to see all their memories buried under these rubble of the theater. And of course, they insisted to do something to support the idea or the aspect of the drama and theater in Gaza Strip generally. And joining this work and a project with Goethe, it was the direct way to express themselves and to express this disappointment against this destruction from the occupation to the cultural place, of the biggest cultural place in Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I can add something.
Sure, go ahead.
كنا كتير بنفكر إنه مر 3 سنين على هذا المكان المهم، وإنه ما حدا من الفنانين اللي عايشين في البلد ما طرقوا الضوء على هاي القضية، وإنه نعمل تأثير لمحاولة بناء هذا المكان. فأنا كنت كتير يعني إحنا الصبايا علا وسام نجوى سماح كنا كتير مبسوطين إنه في حدا مهتم في تسليط الضوء على هذا المكان. فكنا سعيدين جدا لما طرحت الفكرة منى كليمنس ماكسي، وبدينا نتناقش إنه هذا المكان كتير مهم، ليش ما نسلط الضوء عليه بطريقة جديدة وبطريقة تكون قريبة للقلب عن طريق عمل مسرحي بيتناول هذا المكان بشكل كبير باعتباره إنه بيعبر عن ثقافتنا وهويتنا. فتشجعنا كتير للفكرة، وبدينا في اجتماعات ولقاءات على أساس إنه هذا الإشي من زمان إحنا بنحلم فيه، وكيف بدنا نترجمه على أرض الواقع بشكل عمل مسرحي فني قريب ولذيذ للكل، وبيقدر يوصل الرسالة إنه إحنا لازم نعيد بناء هذا المسرح من جديد.
Okay. Manan says that 3 years passed since the destruction of the theater of Said Al Mishal, and no one shed the light on this great issue and miserable issue. That's why they were very happy, she and the ladies of Bozour, to join the workshop that gathered to shed the light on this important issue of Said Al Mishal, and to try to make a step in the way of rebuilding the place once again.
Thank you so much. And maybe now we'll move on to Maxi, who then got the task to work with all of that. So maybe Maxi, you could tell us a little bit about how you got into the project. Maxi, we can't hear you.
Yeah, no sound.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, hello everyone. Yes, my name is Maxi Obexer. I'm very glad that I could join this discussion. I'm also very proud, I must say, that at the end this theater production could happen. And yeah, maybe I say something about Clemens and me. I'm a writer. I wrote a lot of plays. I'm a playwright and I'm a writer of novels. And Clemens is a theater director, and we have been working together in Potsdamer, the nice theater at the Hans-Otto-Theater, where we also will talk about this project very soon. And yeah, we have worked in Mannheim, in Wiesbaden, and in this project. And I would say that I think it is one of the most, I mean, all of our projects were very touching, but I think this is the most special one, because we were asked by Mona. First of all, she asked me, as she said, hey, there's this theater, there is Ramallah, there is a group of interesting people, and they should kind of, maybe you should come together in order to work together and to share experiences, to share artistic experiences in writing and in play and in making theater. And so it was, and then we arrived, and then yes, we saw this kind of this not existing anymore hall of a theater, and we started to think about and how important it was, how important it could be to kind of reinstall it, in order to write plays about it, in order to write texts about it, in order to do something to refill this house again, at least with theater and with texts that so that the theater in this way could kind of be there again. And also we were kind of led by this question, what has been destroyed, what texts could have been played there which were not taken place there. And the second was what kind of texts and theater could be made now. So we were really thrilled by this thinking that also because it's a new time after it was destroyed. So and then because of the talking together, we were also thinking, okay, maybe it's much more maybe it's because the women's collective start also to become a focus in terms of what are the realities of female writers, what are the realities of artists, and what are the realities of female theater makers. So that was another, let's say that was another step, because during these 2 years, and I think this is the next very particular moment, and not just moment, what makes it very particular is the fact that apart from the texts that could be developed and written, apart from the theater production that could happen at the end, we just kept on going, because it was the whole process was destroyed also many times. So I think this is really the special and particular thing that makes it a really, really worthwhile experience, because we were supposed to come again to Gaza, and then we could not, because of political reasons. Then we were again supposed to come, and again for political reasons we could not. And then there was then was the war, and then there was the pandemic, and so let's say we passed at least 1.5 years or almost 2 years by not knowing what will happen in this with this project, but we just didn't stop to talk. And so we just were kind of we had weekly talks every Sunday. We were just talking, and there was no kind of plan. And as I said, it was kind of our plan. It was destroyed too many times. But there was always this moment of someone always started to activate again this process and this being together. I think something hidden without, it was not outspoken, but something, it was there from all parts. There was, from Mona, she always give us the support. Also there was, it was kind of, there was moments we did not know at all how we could continue this process. And there was Nashra, always sending me messages and asking me about this scene and the other scene. And there were these talks with Manal and with Sam, with others, and kind of there was a kind of a hidden connection that became so strong. Or it was Clemens, or it was Nashra, or it was Mona, or it was Manal, or it was me. Someone just couldn't stop to continue talking together. And at the end, I would say that in this long process, we really got very deep insights in your realities, because let's start just with the fact that it's very, very hard, it's very difficult to understand the situation. And apart from the political situation, you have a lot of images when you arrive there. And apart also from the images, you have to come beyond these images. You have to become beyond the projections. And so I think we got much, much more, we got much richer because we had these weekly talks.
And the whole process, was very fruitful in general, because you didn't just work on the play, you also wrote another set of texts, the Gaza Protocols. Can you briefly tell us what they're about, who wrote them and about what, and then maybe give us a little reading?
Yeah, so I would say that there's the production, there was the working also on the script, and there was the theater production, and Clemens and me, we were kind of just advisors for this. So we were, and Nashra and me, we were working on a play, on a script of the play. And besides this, we also kind of generated different texts, let's say they were just given by very also personal insights by Manal, by Wissam, by Nashra, and so on. They are not directly part of the production, but they could, it just created a nice, beautiful collection of texts, of insights, of the realities of female artists, playwrights, and so on. And just right from the beginning, Clemens and me, we said, well, we also want to maybe contribute, or I would like to contribute with a kind of a protocol, so that they also can just read us. Or I would love to give you texts of what I have seen, of what I have experienced, in order that you can tell me how to read. Because the most difficult thing is, how to read, how to see and to read in a proper way. So therefore, I started with this Gaza protocol that also was supported by the Goethe Institute in another process, also in Munich. So, and yes, I can. I mean, it is in German. I can give a little insight if you want, but if
and it would be a short extract, and it's a multilingual event anyways today, so yes, please.
Okay. Die Reise nach Gaza, so Gaza-Protokoll. Die Reise nach Gaza beginnt mit einem Einreiseverbot, eine erste Ahnung von der Willkür, die das Land bestimmt. Ein für Einreisende kaum durchschaubares Netzwerk an Vorschriften, Einschränkungen und Grenzverläufen hält das fragmentierte Gebiet besetzt und markiert eine erste Trennungslinie zwischen Eingeschlossenen und Außenstehenden. Die Frage, was hält uns alle besetzt und hindert uns davor, ungezwungen in Berührung zu treten, begleitet diesen Bericht. Aber auch, was verbindet uns und was kann als Common Ground aufgedeckt werden. Es sind Momentaufnahmen gerichtet an Autorinnen und Theaterschaffende, mit denen wir ein gemeinsames Theaterprojekt vorhaben. Es ist der Versuch, sich gegenseitig lesbar zu machen. Denn wer sind wir? Botschafter, die von einem Land berichten, in das die einen nicht rein, aus dem die anderen nicht raus können. Und ich beschreibe, was sich uns zeigt, ohne es lesen zu können. Ich schreibe auf, was ich sehe, damit ihr mir beim Lesen helft. Damit ich verstehe, was ich sehe und für euch, damit ihr seht, was ich verstehe. You can't enter, nuschelt der israelische Grenzpolizist in seiner Panzerglaskabine ins Mikrofon. Dann dreht er den Kopf zur Seite und blättert in anderen Dokumenten. What do you mean? Er blickt auf. War da noch was? Ich recke mich auch an der auf einem Betonsockel ruhenden Kabine hoch und frage, was er meint. Well, you can go. Die Sache ist doch jetzt geklärt, oder nicht? Sorry. Er blickt gelangweilt von seiner erhöhten Position über meinen Kopf hinweg. You're a reader. You're a reader? Yes, you're a reader. Hello, I don't understand what you mean. Ich mache mich durch meine Handbewegung erkennbar. Er hebt kurz den Kopf. Sorry, you're a writer. Ich schaue ihn an und er schaut mich an und dann zuckt er unmerklich mit der Schulter. Wir schauen ins trockene Land vor uns, angelehnt an der warmen Außenwand der Grenzhalle. Die Luft vibriert in der Hitze. Neben mir ist Clemens Bechtel, der Regisseur. Wir wollten zusammen nach Gaza, um uns dort mit Schreibenden und Theaterleuten zu treffen. Wir waren vorher erfolgreich koordiniert worden, und so heißt die bürokratisch aufwendige Prozedur, die über die Schreibtische etlicher Institutionen läuft, bis wir am Ende die Erlaubnis hatten, einzureisen, formal jedenfalls. Während jetzt Amtsinhaber, Direktorinnen und Diplomaten die Telefone in die Hand nehmen und ein Kräftemessen der Institutionen beginnt, löst sich für uns die Zeit vom Tag, von den Zielen, von den Plänen, bestimmt auch eine fremde Gewalt, die mit ihr verfährt, als sei die Zeit bedeutungslos, nimmt sie den Charakter der vibrierenden Luft in der Hitze an. Sie kann jetzt schnell gehen oder langsam oder gar nicht, das spielt keine Rolle. Wie spät ist es? Ich schätze Nachmittag. Der Blick auf die Uhr sagt 9:50 Uhr. Wenn uns, wird ja nicht angebaut, im scheinbar uferlosen Grenzgebiet zwischen Israel und Gaza bewegt sich ein leichter Windzug über dürres Grasland. Es ist nichts zu sehen, nicht Mensch, nicht Tiere. You are a reader, you are a writer. Noch nie wurde mir so klar, dass Schreiben vor allen Dingen ein Lesen ist. Es wurde mir gerade beigebracht von einem teilnahmslosen jungen Grenzsoldaten. Wenn sie uns Einlass gewähren in dieses Gebiet, in dem knapp 2 Millionen Menschen streng kontrolliert werden und das gleich von zwei Mächten, von der islamistischen Hamas und vom Staat Israel, dann werden wir vor allem lesen, was sich vor unseren Augen zeigt. Aber können wir lesen, was sich vor unseren Augen abspielt? Sind wir in der Lage, das, was wir sehen, zu dechiffrieren, zu lesen? Ist vor allem richtig zu lesen? Während der Fahrt begleitet uns die Grenzmauer des Gazastreifens. Immer mal wieder taucht sie hinter einem Hügel auf, duckt sich, scheint für immer verschwunden und ist im nächsten Moment wieder da, als gäbe es nichts Selbstverständlicheres als eine Landschaft mit Mauer. Sie scheint ein Spiel zu treiben. Ist das hier eine Hügellandschaft oder ist es ein Grenzgebiet? Mit jedem Auf- oder Abducken der Mauer wird meinem Auge die Gewissheit genommen, zu sehen, was es zu sehen glaubt. Natur, manchmal bewirtschaftete, manchmal wilde oder Militärgebiet. Die Checkpoints von düster dreinblickenden Militärs machen die Sache für den Moment klar. Hier kontrolliert die Hamas, bemerkt Clemens. Und der Gazastreifen ist abgeriegelt wie ein Raubtiergehege, wie Nordkorea, wie der Hochsicherheitstrakt in Stammheim, wie West-Berlin vor 89 hinter der Mauer, wie vielleicht auch das Warschauer Ghetto. Er sucht nach Bezugspunkten wie das hier, was real aufpoppt, als Realität zu erfassen. Eine Realität, die für euch die Normalität ist und händeringend, stammelnd, sogar schweigend wird eure helle, feste Stimme nicht aufhören, darauf zu insistieren, dass hier genau an diesem Punkt der erste doppelten Boden gewinnt in der Normalität. Vielleicht noch ein ganz kurzes. Je länger wir an dieser Baulücke herumstehen, sie abgehen, absuchen und uns die Sinnlosigkeit dieses Absuchens begleitet, als wären wir Experten, umso mehr junge Männer kommen zusammen, schauen sich an, was wir uns hier anschauen und wie wir uns das hier anschauen, diesen Raketenkrater. Als was sehen sie uns? Wer sind wir für sie? Die westliche Welt, die sich das anschaut, die westliche Welt, die zuschaut. Ich komme mir fehl am Platz vor, sträube mich dagegen, als die westliche Welt angesehen zu werden wie Fremdling. Dieses Loch wirft uns auseinander, wirft uns auf zwei Seiten. Es wirft uns auf die Seite des Westens und euch auf die Seite des Ostens. Warum wird ein Theater bombardiert? Warum gehe ich nicht einfach zu den Jungs, setze mich neben sie auf die Betonbrocken und stehe wieder auf, so wie sie es tun, stehe herum, so wie sie es tun, setze mich wieder hin, wie sie es tun, wir Fremdeln. Aber auch das ist unser Common Ground, das hilflose Glotzen auf ein Loch, das einmal ein Theater war. Unser Common Ground ist der Rand, am Rand zu stehen und die Lücke wahrzunehmen, das Ausmaß der Lücke. Unser Common Ground ist das gemeinsame Wissen davon, was ein Theater ist. Dankeschön.
Vielen, vielen Dank. Thank you so much. What I really liked in the protocols, because I read parts of them as well, is that you really question your positionality as somebody coming from Germany to such a contested place, and that you allow space for all these layers of complexity and meaning and questions that you don't really immediately have answers to. So maybe one brief last question. Was there something, or what were the things that challenged you being in Gaza, working with artists in Gaza in this whole process, and that maybe made you rethink some things that you were convinced of before?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's coming together of, okay, there is a lot of common, like working with art, like doing art, like writing and making theater, so that it is something that where we can come together, where we feel immediately that we have something in common, and on the other hand, to go beyond little by little or millimeter by millimeter from the images and narratives of what we are loaded by media and by the fact that we cannot enter easily, and to go beyond and hopefully to come close to the real realities of our partners. I think this is the biggest challenge, and because we could talk so much, I think we got a little.
Yeah, probably what you said, that because of the war and because of Corona, the interaction was so much longer than you anticipated. You were able to take it slower and learn more from each other. And yeah, maybe that, as you said, that actually changed the whole relationship. So yeah, maybe now Najwa, to you. So we already spoke quite a bit about Gaza, the situation there, the pressures there. You also told me that there are very few places where cultural life can happen, like no cinemas, very few places for the arts and culture. And then also there is this always present trauma of war at the same time, and always the fear of the next conflict. What do you think does theater mean in such a place to the people who are doing it?
Yeah, actually, Nabila, I would like to tell you that the first Palestinian theater was established in Palestine in 1918. So theater was an old issue in Palestine, and Palestinians used to express themselves on stage. But since the British mandate came to Palestine, it didn't allow the political play to be performed on stage, and kept oppressing the writers till they prefer to move out of Palestine to seek freedom of expression outside the place. And gradually, the British mandate finished to start the Israeli occupation on Gaza Strip, on Palestine generally. And the same story once again happened from the Israeli occupation that didn't allow the freedom of expression, which actually took place on stage. That's why they attacked the places where people stood on and expressed their resistance and their right to be on their own land. Moving to the current, let's say, situation in Gaza Strip, gradually after the Palestinian government came after Oslo Agreement, the theater movement started to sparkle again in Gaza Strip, especially that education pushed it forward from the first coming of the Palestinian Authority to Gaza Strip to Palestine, and especially in Gaza Strip, since it's a conservative place which rejects any luxury rather than food and medical aid. They consider cinema and theater as a luxury, and they feel ashamed to seek such places and to go to such places. But gradually, since the education helped cherishing the thing, people started to understand and to accept the idea of going to theater and to sharing theater. But still, the part of women inside this movement was rare until the association started to join women inside the movement of theater, and gradually we saw women on stage expressing themselves. Of course, it's very hard for us to be as other countries and other cities and to live free and express freely and to have theater and to go to theater as other people do everywhere in the world, as people who are suffering and living under suppression and under occupation. The ladies of Bozour started that idea of having ladies, only ladies, to express themselves and to play drama on stage, and it was a unique idea that they did their best to achieve it in Palestine, in Gaza Strip in particular, and it was very nice idea, and it was accepted, though we got some criticism that we need the masculine part in this play after, of course, the show of the play, and still we need to struggle more to be like the other countries outside Gaza, the sieged Gaza Strip.
Thank you so much. And actually, you already touched upon what I want to ask Manal about. So it's a feminist theater group, and you also decided to only have women play all the roles, which is quite revolutionary. Do you want to tell us a bit about how your group empowers the women who come and play theater? What does it do for them?
Is this for Manal?
Yeah, for Manal.
Yeah, okay.
طبعا احنا كأول مسرح نسوي موجود في غزة واجهنا كثير من التحديات أو الصعوبات اللي بنواجهها على اعتبار إنه ثقافة المجتمع معروف إنه المسرح هو مقتصر على الرجال فقط، وإذا كان بدنا عمل مسرحي موجود فيه الذكر والأنثى فهذا كان صعب، لأنه الرجل هو بيستطيع إنه يمثل دور الأنثى والعكس. فكان إنه إصرارنا وتحدينا على إنه نكون السيدات تحت بيعملوا في مجال المسرح من إضاءة، من صوت، من كتابة نص، من طاقم نسائي بقود عملية المسرح من A to Z. هذا كان كتير تحدي قوي لنا، وبدأ يلاقي كتير من القبول في مجتمعنا الفلسطيني اللي باعتباره إنه مجتمع كتير يعني بتحكمه العادات والتقاليد، وبيعطي نموذج أو نمط للمرأة في طبيعة عملها، إما تكون إنه مدرسة أو تكون النيرس أو العمل التقليدي. لكن هذا الشيء النوعي خلانا إنه إحنا الثلاثة نحاول إنه نتحدى المجتمع، نتحدى كل الصعوبات اللي بنواجهها. بدينا بما يسمى بمسرح الغرفة، يعني المسرح اللي موجود عندنا هو مش مسرح بستيج ومدرجات، لا، هو مسرح الغرفة البسيط اللي بيحاول من خلاله نقل الأفكار ونقل القضايا، وبنحاول من خلاله إنه نستقطب كل الصبايا اللي لهم ميول فنية اللي ممكن يشتغلوا في مكان هو مريح لإلهم، ما يلاقوا أي صعوبات بيواجهوها عندما يمثلوا الدور، عندما تتعامل معهم كسيدات. هم اللي بيتعاملوا معهم، هم اللي بيوجهوهم، هم اللي بيقودوهم، اللي بيعطي الصورة لقدام إنه بذور هي رح تصير بذوريات، يعني رح يكون في عنا طاقم وعنصر نسوي قادر على إنه يوقف على خشبة المسرح وتحكي وتوصل صوتها وتعبر عن كل القضايا اللي لازم تحكي عنها وتوصل صوتها لكثير من مجتمع بيحكموا الثقافة الذكورية.
Okay. Manal says that Bozour is the first feminine theater in Gaza. As it is known, of course, theater should have men and women on stage, but they broke these rules and broke these stereotypes and made the first feminine theater in Gaza Strip. And they start with the room theater, a simple thing according to their abilities and financial status. And they invite all the women and the ladies that have the talent and the ability to step on stage and to express themselves. They train them, they teach them, and they made them play role inside any dramatic thing or work they want to achieve.
Thank you very much for the translation. And Manal, thank you very much for giving us an insight and the incredible work you do. And we'll get back to all of you in the end, but now I'm going to move to ask some questions to my guest here in Munich. So Nadim, maybe you could also start with telling us a little bit about yourself and your work.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks to be here. My name is Nadim Jarrah, and I'm half Palestinian, half German, born and grew up here in Munich. And we had this invitation with an Arabic play and Palestinian play called 603 by Imad Farajin to come to Palestine, to Ramallah, to Jenin, and so I don't know.
So you worked in both places, and I think you were also involved with the Jenin Freedom Theater, which is, I think, quite a famous theater project in Palestine that maybe more people have heard about. Could you just tell us a little bit what it is about?
Yes. I don't know exactly when it was founded, but it was founded by Giuliano Merhamis, and this theater is in the refugee camp of Jenin, and this the thinking behind, or the idea behind was to have a playground for everyone to express, to find his culture, identity, and so we had this invitation from there to come, and yeah.
And so a question that I already asked Manal and Najwa, I get the feeling that theater in a place like Gaza has a sense of urgency in a way that maybe it doesn't always have here. So working there and working here, how did it feel differently for you to play there, to act there, to work there?
The first thing is there's much more hunger for stuff like this, for this, for playing, for have this. So, yeah, if I can say in Germany, the people saw a lot, and they have the possibility to go to a theater and to play, or just to watch a play in a theater. It's quite normal, and it should be normal. And my impression there was, of course, there was a big need, and I was like, okay, let's start now. We wanted to start tomorrow. No, let's start now. So it was a big hunger for it.
And what did you find, like a society that is, as we also already spoke about, is under so much pressure, internally, externally, then that constant threat of war? Do you think it affects the kind of art that is made, that people maybe censor themselves or only focus on certain issues, or maybe also become less able to be self-critical as a society because there's so much constant external pressure?
I had the impression is, of course, it's much more political, but it's like a regaining of identity, of a culture identity, and I don't know the project of the what I hear now. It sounds wonderful, but from my impression in Jenin and the Freedom Theater was like it's not so like a denying of a cultural identity. Is a kind of a weapon to keep down a society, even cultural identity or academic identity. So, of course, the first thing, it was, of course, political, and everything was like kind of political. And then, of course, it started to for women and for men, and have the same way of working on the same level. But in the first was like restoring a natural thing like identity. Like we said before, it was 1918. There was the first Palestinian theater was founded, and there's a lot of culture, a lot of singing and dancing and of everything. So that have to be restored. So it was like the people had a hunger, as I said before, and it was like, and of course it's a highly political situation. If you go out on the street, you have the politics, and it's you can't deny it. So it had to be on the stage as well, and I think that's a good thing. And after that, will cover other things like the structure in families and all the other problems they have all of that in the whole world, but of course have to be step by step. So that was my impression. So it was, of course, political.
Did it in any way affect your understanding of yourself as an actor as well, and change maybe your outlook on why you're doing what you're doing and how you want to do it in the future?
Yeah, it affected me by my work with children, with kids, with not as an actor, not really. Of course, it was this, okay, that it means when everything is like, I can compare it to the DDR bit in German, East German, and part of East German, when they played Hamlet, and he stepped on the stage and said, "Es ist was faul im Staat der Dänemark," and it was, in this situation, of course, political. So if you're on stage and you play something, you always keep in mind that is. But for me personally, it was it pushed me in a direction to do this kind of projects more and more. So after this, I went to northern Iraq. I went to Abkhazia and other places in the world, and had in refugee camps played a lot, and had this kind of workshops to give the people by itself the possibility to work, that they don't need guys from Europe or somewhere to come and to just so they can be do it by them without our help.
Yeah, that actually leads on to my next question. How important do you think are these kinds of cross-cultural projects?
Very important, very, very important, for sure. It's always good to have exchange for both sides. Doesn't matter if you're from Luxembourg, go to Germany, or from Netherlands to Germany, whatever kind of exchange, it's helpful. And for sure, it's like learning by each other. And there's not a big different understanding of theater, but there's a different style of playing and on the stage, and I love this. And it's so enrichment for myself to okay, that's how they playing. Okay, that's interesting. So, and definitely very, very important.
Did you also have challenging experiences working in Palestine, especially being yourself of hybrid origins, you know, being socialized in Germany, acting in Germany, having studied in Germany, and then being there and being part of that society, but also not? Were there some things that you found difficult or irritating?
No, not really irritating, because of from my Palestinian half, so I'm used to it, and I know it by my childhood. It's maybe the kind of the man and women on a stage, so it should be because that's could be tricky to things what for me it's very normal to do on a stage, because it's on the stage and you can do whatever you want, and that was oh yeah, okay, I can't, that's not normal, not I can't, that's not right, but I have to approach it on another way, on a different way. So that was just one situation where I said, okay, yes, of course, that's my but all in all, not so much.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're slowly coming to the end of our time. I could actually continue talking to all of you about your fascinating project, but maybe we can do a final round where each of you just gives me a brief answer. And what I want to know is also looking into the future. What can a play like this or theater, what can that change for people in places like Gaza? What is the potentiality behind it? Yeah, who wants to start? Maybe we'll start with Mona, because you went in the beginning.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe I just wanted to share one important thing that I think is really important. I mean, the show was premiered in November in Gaza, and 800 people attended the show. And this is really a big shout out, you know, to Manal and Boudou and Najwa to make this happen. And for that already, you know, this is incredibly meaningful. And there will be a continuation, because just before we started, we heard that people are asking when the next production will be done. So we are trying to also support additional funding opportunities for the Bozour collective to continue their work and to also develop the production. That's very important. And what is also important is that, you know, in a context of Germany and shrinking spaces, and of course our work in Palestine, yes, art and politics are very closely linked, and everything you do is in a way political. And the fact that we are now talking in this context is already, I think, very, very meaningful. And on the 27th, there will be a theater event at the Hans-Otto-Theater in Potsdam, where also some of the Bozour ladies will be virtually present. And so the engagement of this theater production that was locally produced and then you know, been shown here and bring it into a debate and discussion, I think this is incredibly meaningful. And if we can continue working on that in the future, then I think we have already done a lot. But of course, there is always so much more to do. Yeah, this is what I would say as a closing statement.
Thank you so much. Should we continue with you, Maxi?
Yeah, I just want to try to be very, very short. I think what I'm really proud, what I'm really proud of it's that we could really show and bring some light into the into a social group that it's extremely important, like in any society, but which is at the same time the most hidden society. Let's talk about women and women's work, women's artistic work, and of course by what they bring on light. It's just what has normally not been seen, and so it's really double, triple important. I think what has been done here, and so yeah, thank you very much for that it could be realized, and for the confidence that we could give us. And also I want to say that Najwa now could be nominated to the Academy Solitude. I'm very familiar with this institution. It's the biggest international institution in Germany, and she got a fellowship, the Jean-Jacques Rousseau Fellowship scholarship, and I'm also very happy about this. So I think women's writing and all what they can bring on light, writing and artistic work, it's so meaningful and so important.
Thank you. Then maybe we'll go to Nadim and then give Manal and Najwa the last word.
First, congratulations for the award. And all in all, this project is unbelievable, and it's so nice to hear. And we'll spread it out as much as possible. And for myself, making theater is a bridge, and it's a key to so many people, and I hope we can continue this for us all and for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Manal, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thank you for this very nice meeting. I would grateful and thankful for Goethe and the cooperation with a new partner, and how we success to build this trust between us by this play, and directed it, and everything go okay. And we hope that we continue be in touch in future, inshallah, to support this our work and support this show. 3 shows, it's not enough. We done a great play, and it should be also go outside in our future, or in our planning in this project. We put that we sharing this show outside Gaza, also in German. But as you know, we have a lot of difficulties. First of all, Corona and the political situation, but it didn't tell us to make a stage and to stop our work. And thank you a lot for this a very ritual experience between us. And I say the sentence, the art, it's very important, and it is alive, and it is another side to know of people, to express about yourself, and to be a positive, because the art should be a positive and give this a positivity to all people around here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Najwa, you have the final words.
Okay, since I have the final word, I would like just to add something, Nabila. I haven't said before that most of the cultural places in Gaza Strip were targeted and were destroyed completely from the Israeli occupation. Not only Al Mishal Theater, but as a branch of this destruction and cultural crime, our cultures crimes against culture, we took Al Mishal as an aspect, and we shed the light on this crime through the project and through the implementation of the play. I hope that this will be known worldwide, and this made the Israeli occupation stop targeting the cultural places through supporting the cultural places and culture itself, cultural identity of the Palestinian people, especially in Gaza Strip, from all over the world. We wish to get this support and make a step towards stopping these crimes against culture here in Gaza Strip. Thank you so much for having us today. I'm so happy to join this project, and I'm so happy to have me today with you. Thank you so much, Nabila. Thanks for the whole crew. Great greetings from Gaza. They just sent me to say to you, thank you so much.
Shukran lakum. Thank you so much to you too. And yeah, Maxi, what you said, that it gave an insight into something hidden. I think also people of Gaza as not just people we see through the prism of crime and war and extremism, but as a community that also has art and culture and music and dance and theater. I think that is also very, very important to shed a light on that. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your feelings, and also your anger and your wishes for the future. Hopefully see you again. And everyone watching, thanks so much for being with us tonight, and see you at the next Habibi Goethe in December. Goodbye and good night.